for you all today? Great. Okay. First, is there any questions from previous lessons? Anything that you all need to ask? Nothing? Okay, we move on to the lessons for today. What we'll be doing today is we'll be looking at chapter 9, time value of money. Okay? It's quite an interesting chapter. You'll talk about football. We'll talk about world record transfers fees. Basically, what you all need to know, some methods of calculation. Understand that. Okay, time value of money. Did you know in 1624 the Native Americans sold Manhattan Island for only $24? You know how big is Manhattan? How big is it? Pretty big. 470 million square feet to be exact. Yes, 470 million square feet. Only for $24. But guess what? If they would have took the $24, invested it at 6% annually, today it would be more than 130 billion. What can you do with 130 billion? Not much. Is that big money?
Yes.
If they had invested the $24 at 7.5% interest rate annually, today it will be standing at $20 trillion.
Okay, that's a lot.
They would rival the oil sheikhs and also Bill Gates. Not only would they rival them, they will be more wealthier compared to them. This all has to do with time value of money. Another simple example. If your ancestors, okay, 2009 years ago, invested 6%, $1 at 6%, the amount of money that they would have received now could be used to purchase all the wealth in the world. That means it's much more than 20 trillion. This is the meaning of time value of money. I beg your pardon?
The figure that you're giving, they take into consideration inflation.
It is, okay, we'll look into that later on. Okay, is it accounted for inflation? We will look into that. Okay, basically this is just how much would you earn given a single amount of money. Is this figure awesome?
Yes.
Is it low? So start saving $1 now. 2009 years down the road. Okay, your great children, grandchildren will be wealthy. Okay, let's look at the chapter outline. By the end of today's lesson, you should know the relationship time value associated with money. How is time value of money associated with money that you're using? To determine future value based on a number of periods over which funds are to be compounded at a given interest rate. You'll be able to calculate future values. Then, present value based on current value of funds to be received. Funds to be received in the future. What will be its value now? You'll also use tables for future and present value. Their need for computations in determination of yield, how to calculate. Given you certain figures, given you certain examples, like interest rate, number of periods, how to do the computation. Basically, this is what you will learn for today's lesson. Okay? Any questions so far? Are you all with me?
Yes.
Good. Finally, we'll also look at compounding or discounting occurring on a less than annual basis. When you look at the earlier examples, it is usually annually. What happens if it's like quarterly, semi-annually? How do you calculate that? I will teach you all today. Okay? Let's look at the relationship. The capital outlay decision. When you look at the capital outlay decision, it states two things. You will need capital allocation technique to determine what type of machinery, new plant, new types of product that you're going to introduce into the market. Correct? You're going to allocate capital for that. To purchase a new machine, to buy some assets, all this requires capital allocating. So, basically, determine whether the future benefits are sufficiently large enough to justify current outlays. What does it mean? Simple. The money that you're going to lay now, the money that you're going to spend now, does it justify your future benefit? Is it justified for the amount of money that you're going to spend today? Cannot? So, a mathematical tool is needed to help you to understand time value of money. First, let's move on to future value. We'll look at the definition of future value. Keep in mind, we are using single amount. I'll explain to you single amount now. Let's look at the definition first. When you look at future value, it can be defined as measuring value of an amount that is allowed to grow at a given interest rate over a period of time is necessary. Three important keywords here. An amount. An amount is also referring to single value. Second, what is your next important word? Given interest. The rate of interest rate is given. And third, the period of time. How many years? 1 year, 2 years, 10 years down the road, or 20 years down the road. So remember these three things. Remember these three things. Single amount, interest rate, and period of time. Okay, let's look at an example. Assuming that the worth of $1,000 needs to be calculated after 4 years at 10% interest rate per year. Do you have the three figures there?
Yes.
What is the first figure? 1,000, which is the single amount. Then, do you have the interest rate figure given?
Yes.
What is the interest rate figure? 10%. Do you have the number of periods?
Yes.
4 years duration. So this is how normally you would calculate. Correct? First year, you invest $1,000. At 10%, you would receive 1,100 at the end of the first year. Right or not? Second year, it becomes 1,001. That grows at 10%. You receive 1,002 at the end of the second year. Same thing with the following third year and fourth year. So who can explain to me why is this times 1.1? Not. Raise up your hands. Yes, so good. First.
Because for the first year, we're calculating the principal that we have plus the 10% interest that we've earned.
Correct or not? At the end of first year, what will you receive?
1,100.
The 1,000 ringgit that you have invested plus the interest 10%, which is 0.1 in this example. True? Good. This is the normal calculation method. But you have a problem here. You know what is the problem? Who can tell me? Amanda, you want to try? Yes, compounding problem. If the time frame is longer, 20, 30 years, 40 years down the road, how are you going to calculate? Step by step? So this is where future value comes in. A generalized formula is needed. Where FV is future value, PV is present value, I is the interest rate, and N is the number of periods. Or in example for this will be the number of years. Using the previous example now, by using this formula. Look, present value 1,000, interest 10, number of years is 4. So, this is how you do the calculation. How do you get future value? 1,000, 1.1 power of 4, or in other words, it can be translated as 1.464. You'll still get the same amount exactly like the previous one. Is it clear? Alfred?
Yeah.
Ken? Another way, another simple method will be, do you all know what table is this? Anybody knows what table is this? Elizabeth? Future value. Okay, in other words, this is interest table. Okay? Factor of interest table. Like what I explained earlier, another method will be just by referring to this table. Okay, referring to the previous example, do you know what is the number of years? 4 years. Do you know what is the interest rate? 10%. So it needs here, right? 1.464. Is it the same as the previous example? So that is how you used to read the future of $1 table, future value of $1 table, or interest table. Can you understand? So there's two methods. One, you can use the calculator, you use algorithms, or you use the power to find the value, or the second method, simple, by referring to the interest factor table. So, by using the interest factor table, this is the formula that can be derived. Future value, present value, times with future value interest factor. What is the meaning of future value interest factor? Is the value that you obtained from the table earlier. Understood? So now, let's try an example. Can you all give me the answer? If 10,000 was to be invested for 10 years at 8%, do you have the single amount value?
Yes.
Do you have the interest?
Yes.
Do you have the number of years? Is it given? For 10 years, correct? For 10 years. I want this side to use the normal calculation, and I want this side to use the table, interest table. It can be found in your textbooks. Okay, Nico, can you give me your answer?
21,589.25 cents.
21,000, roughly. Okay, Chinpa, what is your answer?
21,590.
Let's check. Correct? For those who are referring to the table, did you manage to find this value? 2.159? So that is the purpose that you use the table. For those who did according to the calculator or using the calculator, you would have multiplied 1 point, you times 1.08 to the power of 10. 10 number of periods or 10 number of years, correct? Okay, good. So we have completed future value. So can anybody explain to me what is the meaning of future value? Elizabeth, what do you understand by future value?
We know the in the period of time the amount of money that we will get.
What you can earn, given an interest rate, given the number of years, given the amount. You know how is it able to grow, correct? Guess what? Present value is just the opposite. Let's look at this. I told you earlier, we'll talk about football. Correct? Real Madrid agreed to pay in pounds, 80 million for the transfer fees of Cristiano Ronaldo with MUFC. Have you ever wondered how can these clubs offer such huge amount of money? How could they pay? Sometimes it's not just one player that they spend on. Look at Real Madrid Football Club. Are they filled with stars? Are they cheap? How could they pay all of this? 80 million. Anybody knows? The answer to this is simple. It lies in the concept of present value. So what is the concept of present value? A sum payable in the future is worth less today than the stated amount. Are they paying now?
No.
They are signed into an agreement. Maybe when we buy you Cristiano Ronaldo for 80 million, we are not going to pay Manchester United 80 million now on the spot. We will pay you in 5 years. We might pay you each year 20 million for the next 5 years. So that is what it means here. The worth of 80 million payable in the future. I'm going to pay you in the future, but actually it will be worth less. Why? Is it accounted for inflation?
Yes.
Does it account for risk?
Yes.
The most important thing. Your $1 today, the things that you can buy with your 1 ringgit today, do you think 5 years down the road you can buy the same things? It's worth less, right? So that's the same concept with present value. Can you understand? if I'm going to give you something in the future, an example, you want $1,000 today or $1,000 10 years from now? Why you say today? Eh? Can go shopping. I beg your pardon? Can you earn interest for the next 10 years? Yes. So that is the reason why you will demand the money now compared to what you can earn in the future. You understand? Okay, the formula is derived from the original formula of future value. At the end, this is the present value formula that you derive. It's just the opposite of what you did earlier. Present value, how do you get present value? Future value multiplied with present value interest factor. Any questions here? Eunice, are you okay? Iskandar? Look, earlier we did an example, $1,000 for 4 years, how much would it grow to? Right or not? You got 1,464. So now, I give you that figure, 1,464. Can you find the present value? Same thing. You use the present value table now. You should derive the amount of 1,000 back. Is it just the opposite? Exactly the opposite. Earlier future value, $1,000. How much would it grow to? 1,464. Now, I tell you, 4 years down the road, you're going to receive 1,000 ringgit, $464. How much will it be the value today? It should be the same or just the opposite as the earlier one. Any questions? So how do you derive this figure? Look from this table. 4 periods at 10% interest, correct? You get 0.683. So you take the value, future value, this amount, are you going to receive it today? No. You are going to receive it sometime or 4 years in the future. So you multiply it with the present value, 0.683. That is how you'll derive exactly 1,000. In other words, what does it say? 1,464 4 years from now, it is exactly worth $1,000 today. Can you understand? Melson? Any questions? So, how many tables? One is for future value. So anything dealing with future value, you look at future value, interest table. Understood? Anything dealing with present value, you look at present value interest table. Let's look at this question. What is the relationship between PV and FV? PV is for what? Present value. FV? Future value. Andy, can you tell me the relationship?
Once in the present, once in the future.
Smart. One is in the present, one's in the future. Chung Fat? Don't know. Kim? Wrong, never mind. Both of them deal with money and interest rate. Ming? Positive. Present value and future value, positive. Okay, good. Kimda?
To see whether futures compared to present, and isn't it the increasing value of depreciating value? Compare the difference for benchmarking whether the return is optimistic or bad.
I just want to know the relationship. Opposite. Good. Eunice? Or, in other words, a negative relationship. Correct? Do you all agree with me? Let me use this table to explain to you. Look, earlier, the first calculation, when we did about future value, $1,000, you're looking at what its future value. Present value 1,000. What will be its worth in the future? 1,004, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When we looked at present value, 1,004, given 10% interest, given the rates, number of years, given the value, what will be its worth? Is it a negative relationship? In other words, what does it mean? When you're finding for future value, it grows. When you're looking for present value, it decreases or declines. Can you all understand? Can you understand? That is what it's meant by negative relationship. Okay? Amanda, any questions? You look like you're lost. Okay, I'm going to pass you some questions to attempt. 3. It is related with today's lesson. 3 lucky ones will be chosen to answer the questions. And 3. It is related with today's lesson. 3 lucky ones will be chosen to answer the questions. Who wants to try this? Tan San San. Read the question, please.
Under what conditions must a distinction be made between money to be received today and money to be received in the future? Delphi, when current interest rates are different from expected future rates.
Are you sure? Is it correct? No, you're wrong. Anyway, good for trying. Afifi.
Should I repeat the questions?
Yes.
Question 1. Under what condition must a distinction be made between money to be received today and money to be received in the future? I think it's a D.
D. The answer was just given D. I said wrong.
A.
A. Also wrong.
That is B.
Thank you for trying. There's only a few options left. Any?
Under what conditions must a distinction net be made between money to be received today and money to be received in the future? B.
When ideal money can earn a positive return. Right or wrong?
Yes.
Correct. Remember earlier I asked you all an example. You want 1,000 ringgit now or 1,000 ringgit in the future? Why would you choose to have it now? Because you can multiply the 1,000 ringgit to more. You can earn an interest on it. Correct or not? If you're going to receive it 10 years down the road, can you earn an interest?
No.
So your answer will be B. When ideal money can earn a positive return. Valerie, question 2. You wanna come out and try? It's a calculation. Is it correct?
Yes.
17,000. Is this future value or present value? You're going to receive it in the future. So you must look at interest table. Future value interest table. Okay, good. Question 3.
If you use the formula, you get a different answer.
Which answer do you get? Okay, make sure you round it up to how many decimal points? 3. Okay, you should get the exact answer. 17,688. Remember rounding off. 3 decimal points. Third question and final question. Iskandar.
In determining the future value of a single amount, one measures C, the future value of an amount allowed to grow at a given interest rate.
Right or wrong? Is it correct?
Yes.
Wrong. Who says wrong? Why? What is your answer?
B, the present one.
Future value of a single amount. Look at the definition again. What did I mention to you? The 3 important things.
Present value.
It must be a single value.
Interest rate.
It must have interest rate, and it must have a number or a period of time frame. A future value of an amount allowed to grow at a given interest rate. Is it right? Yes.
Yes.
Your answer is C. Future value. Why are you talking about present value? They're asking you what is the meaning of a future value. Future value of an entity. If you can understand future value and present value earlier, entity should not be a problem. Do you all know what is the meaning of entity? Yes, Su. Suryati. Look at the definition back. The definition, when you're talking about future value, we are looking at a single amount, we are looking at a given interest rate, we are also looking at a given time frame. It's actually the definition of future value. Look back at your slides earlier. Definition of a future value. Measuring of value of an amount that is allowed to grow at a given interest rate over a period of time. Is it the same with C? It's actually asking you the definition of future value. Understood? Ken, Suryati? Good. Okay, as I was saying, if you could understand future value and present value, annuity should not be a problem. Anybody knows what is the meaning of annuity? Alfred. A period of time. Expand that a bit more. You're there, not exactly yet.
Give a time frame. For example, 1 year.
No, not really. Okay, let's look at the definition of annuity. A series of consecutive payments or receipts of equal amount. Earlier, remember, you're looking at single amount. What if now, every year, you bank in $1,000? Does it change the question? Does it change the value? Earlier you had, at the beginning of the first year, after 4 years, you're going to calculate what is the amount, correct? Single amount. Now when you're looking at annuity, it is a series of equal payments. Understand that? Can? The future value of each payment can be total to find the future value of an annuity. You can do it in 2 ways. Have you seen this example earlier? Have you seen? $1,000, number of period for interest, 10%. But is your answer the same? Earlier was 1,464. Do you all know what is the difference? Good, Nicole. The only difference between this and the earlier example is that $1,000 you're banking it every year. Earlier, single value, $1,000. After 4 years, you're going to calculate what is its value. Now we assume, at the end of the first year, you bank in 1,000 ringgit. At the end of second year, you bank in another 1,000 ringgit. At the end of third year, you bank in another 1,000 ringgit. And at the end of the fourth year, you bank in another 1,000 ringgit. Can you understand? So, to refer to this, you use this formula. But the table that you refer to is not the same as the earlier table. You have to look at NUT table, future value of an NUT. Can you understand? Okay? How do you know if it's an NUT question? How do you know if it's a future value or an NUT question? How can you tell the difference? Remember, consecutive payments. Another one, if the formula is given, it has A standing for NUT. Understood? The only difference this formula and the earlier formula is A, right? A standing for NUT. So now, remember, you have to look at future value of NUT table. So same thing, $1,000. Look at the number of periods, look at 10%. Do you get 4.641?
Yes.
So you have the value $1,000, you times it 4.641. You should be able to derive $4,641. Can you understand that? Look at the compounding procedure for NUT. Is there any future mathematicians here? Can you explain to me what is this? Chimpa? Anybody want to try? Skanda, are you raising up your hands? Okay, this is they want to show you the normal procedure. If you are counting using future value, not NUT, yeah? Using future value, you have to compound each year. For example, keep in mind the assumption when you read the textbook, they will give you an assumption stating that the interest is banked in at the end of each year. 2011 means they bank in at the end of 2011. So if you keep it there for 1 year, do you receive any interest on 2011? No. You'll only receive interest on that $1,000 the following year, correct? So that is the most important assumption for you to understand. You're banking at the end of each year. So let's look at the first 1,000 ringgit. When you bank in 1,000, how many years does it have to run? Remember, the assumption says 4 years. How many years can you earn an interest? 3. At the end of the second year, you bank in $1,000 again. How many years can you earn interest?
2.
Same thing for third period. Fourth period, remember, can you earn an interest?
No.
Because you're banking at the end of the 4th year. Is it clear? So when you look at the future value of all this, future value, not NUT. When you're looking at the future value of all this, you will get 4,641. Is it the same as the earlier example? Is it easy to calculate? It's hard, right? Compounding, is it easy? Compounding, that is the problem. That is why they came out with the NUT table, the NUT formula, to make calculation much more easier. Can you understand? So, present value. Do you all know what is another name for present value? NUT. No, present value you are calculating in the terms of NUT. You all know what is another name for present value? Current value, good. What actually are you doing? One important word. One important word. Something that you are receiving in the future, you are trying to find what is its present value now. So what are you doing? Forecasting? No. Or are you discounting? Are you doing the process of discounting or not? 1004, you're going to receive 4 years from now. What will be the current value now or the present value now? Are you doing a discounting process?
Yes.